Hi, Sportster Paul here with the Analog Diet Week 8. Well, we did it, 23 pounds in 64 days. Here's a chart that I've been keeping, and that's one of the principles of this, is keep measuring, keep weighing yourself every day. And you can see it's pretty linear. There was some plateaus where I was eating salty stuff. We made a pastrami meal, we made a sausage meal, and that kind of plateaued me for a few days. But it's been about 10 pounds every month, so that was my goal. I found an old shirt that I used to wear. Back in 2017, I was much heavier. I was 320 some pounds. Since then, 3 years ago, I lost all this weight, cured my diabetes, cured my high blood pressure. I went from size 50 pants, now I'm size 34. I went from triple extra large shirts. Here's a little clip I made. I just found one of these in the closet. Triple extra large shirt. Now I just wear a simple large. So feel much better, much healthier, lighter on my feet. Part of the thing is exercise. I am working out in my little home gym twice a week, and then I try to stay active an hour or two a day. So now that we've hit the goal, I've lost the 23 pounds. I'm at 167 instead of 190 pounds. And I can tell those 23 pounds are gone. We're going to switch from the analog diet, which is 1,100 calories a day, losing weight, losing this 2-3 pounds a week, to the analog diet lifestyle. And that's where, we just need to hold that weight. And you can eat a little more calories than you think. I'm planning on adding at least 500 calories. That should get me about 1,600 calories a day. And what I do is unsalted nuts. And I learned once, 2-3 years ago, I gained weight eating salted nuts at nighttime. And my blood pressure went up, like to 140. So I've learned this last episode, over the pandemic, I gained 20 pounds. These are Costco, Kirkland, unsalted. I also go to CVS. They have unsalted nuts. These are a little bit cheaper, but we'll see how they taste and work out. So we're going to add those back in. The other thing I did that I'm kind of proud of, I'm backing off of buying purchased unsweetened iced tea. It's expensive, $2.80 a gallon, $2.90. So I'm using my Bonavita 5-cup coffee maker. I'll put links, my buddy's affiliate links down in the description. I'm using that. I found you just throw a couple tea bags, those family size, 1 or 2, and you can brew your own decaffeinated tea, because that's mostly what I drink. I have a caffeinated one in the morning. So I'm switching over to that instead of, it's like pennies a gallon for that. It's like 70, 80 cents a gallon instead of $2.80 a gallon. So that's another side issue. I'm getting ready for this new lifestyle and to be stable. Today, we're going to have scallops, salsa, and gorgonzola cheese. Because the salsa is so low in fat, we're going to add a whole container of gorgonzola cheese. We're also going to talk about the principles of the analog diet real quick, then go over the other meals, the 3 meals I also ate this past week. We'll go over those. Before we get into it, got a little alert. I don't know how rant and rave to be, but I have a horseradish alert. Now, if you watch when we go over the previous meals, every morning I have the same vegetable omelet, and every day I've been putting this Bookbinder's, creamy horseradish sauce. It has the word sassy here. They make a couple different types. Well, last week, apparently some middle manager at the Bookbinder Food Company decided the way to sell more horseradish is to change to this purple cap. And here's a picture. Look how much bigger the hole. They made it 50% bigger. I jotted it down. I'm an engineer. The black cap has a 0.247 inch hole. The blue cap has a 0.370 inch hole. That's a 49.79% increase. And you can see in the pictures as we'll be chopping stuff and looking at the previous meals, you can see it's very hard using this blue cap to not put too much on. And I'm sure they did that on purpose, sell that horseradish. I don't know, maybe somebody complained. Hey, if you want more horseradish, take the cap off and just pour it out of the bottle. I managed to save the black one from the previous out of the recycling bin and put it on. So that really upsets me. My solution, when betrayed, I'm switching to Heinz because their cap, it's got a similar blue color, but the hole is a reasonable size hole to ladling out a couple stripes of horseradish on my omelet every morning. So that's that, all right? Now let's get cracking. We'll get the food ready, set up the Skycam. We'll see you in a sec. All right, we're going to start of the 21 vegetables. We start with these whole baby Bella mushrooms, then alfalfa sprouts, and cilantro. This is what I call the upper shelf. Here's a picture of that. Or no, not the upper shelf. This is the open shelf. I leave the cilantro a little open so it doesn't get as wet and spoiled. So while I cut this, let's talk about the principles of the analog diet. Now the analog diet, I call it analog because it's not extreme. It's not all vegetables like vegan. It's not all meat like Atkins. It's not all fat like keto. It's not grapefruit diet, South Beach diet. It's not that intermittent fasting, which I consider dangerous. It's the mix of the 3 macronutrients. So you get about equal calories in fat, in protein, and in carbohydrates. But the trick is the carbohydrates, no refined carbs. So no sugar, no alcohol, no pasta, no bread. And that's a little extreme, I admit, but it seems like an important principle, how I cured my diabetes, how I got my health back in control. So I don't claim this to be great cooking, right? To me, this is, let's weigh this out real quick. Okay, 24 grams, put that in. This isn't a great cooking show. This is a scientific cooking show for food addicts like myself who want to stay on the wagon and maintain weight and not constantly be yo-yo dieting. So in that aspect, we're going to microwave the scallops today. That bothers a friend of mine, but that's how it's going to work. So let's put this back in the open shelf. Here's that picture again. And now we're going to get the upper shelf in the fridge. Here's that. You can see I keep the asparagus. These are all the bagged vegetables. The bag your own vegetables, I guess we should say. So here's that. While we do this, let's talk about the first meal I made this week, which was, it's fish. All week is fish, right? So this is grouper with queso, which is the cheese sauce that I like so much. And low calories, you'll see it all totaled up. We'll talk about the breakfast. And so while I chop all this stuff up, we'll go over that meal. Okay, every morning, big vegetable omelet. So there's the 12 vegetables I chop up. Mostly it's that upper shelf ones and a little garlic. That's minced garlic because Publix was out of whole garlic. The water up the vegetables, throw them in that OXO pan, start letting that cook down. While that's going on, I can get the eggs out, 2 large eggs, add enough evaporated milk. I've been saying it's a half a cup. Turns out that was just an optical illusion. I'm putting in a little bit more than a half a cup. Stir that up. When the vegetables are cooked down, pull them towards me. Butter the pan. I also butter it before the vegetables. Pour in the omelet. You just put the vegetables in the omelet, fold it all over. There you go. Put sour cream and that bookbinder's horseradish on it. You can see how thick. I think that's where the problem's starting with that big hole. Frank's hot sauce. Then for lunch, well, grouper this time. So the whole package, 360 in the plastic wrapping. That's the whole package of grouper. So that's going to come down to 268 when we're done. Meanwhile, right away, throw it in the water. Not hot water or anything, just room temperature, cold water. In the plastic packages. Then start chopping vegetables. After a while, open up the plastic, chop the fish into smaller pieces, throw it back in the water, run some fresh water so it's a little bit warmer. Then still chopping vegetables. We're not even through with the vegetables here. The fish is thawing. So getting most of the vegetables cut now. Then the vegetables can come, or the fish rather, can come up out of the water. Put it on a paper towel, dry that off, get all that going. Then once again, I use the microwave. It's nice, even, cooks from the inside stuff. I put it on this Corelware plate, put 2 paper towels over it so it doesn't spatter when it's in the microwave, and into the microwave it goes. Meanwhile, while that's going on, I've cut all the vegetables. You can see the high-calorie stuff, the garlic and the olives and the garbanzo beans up on the top there. come out of the microwave 2 minutes, right? It's mostly cooked. You can see it's a little raw on those upper right ones. They're not quite done. So it wasn't quite enough on 2 minutes. So I separated out the ones, the cooked ones I put on the scale away. They're getting ready. Here's going back in after the first 2 minutes, and here's going to be coming out. And just 1 more minute is all it took, because they were already pretty warm. And we're going to cook the whole bowl anyway, right? So even if they're a little undercooked, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes total. Wanted to show you, here's the plate all full of fat and stuff. That's why I don't weigh it, at the beginning to determine the calories. I weigh it after it's cooked down. And here you can see 268 grams instead of 360. So we got that measured. You can see one of them's a little undercooked, but it cooked in the bowl heating. Pile, just break it up with my fingers. Break the fish up with my fingers. No need to cut it. That goes on top of the bowl there. There it is, paved with protein, right? You get a lot of protein in this meal. Then there's the queso. I like Newman's Own, that charity stuff that Paul Newman makes. It's a little thicker, but the store brand is good enough, and it's available. So here it is all mixed up, right? So that distributes the fish and the queso sauce. It's all ready to go. Then what we're going to do later in this show down below, we're going to split it into 2 identical portions. Look how much food is in that smaller bowl, right? It's easier to tell. The big bowl, it doesn't look as much, but those are equal portions. Then into the microwave, 4 sessions, stirring between 3 minutes, 2, just like we're going to do today in this show. There it is, all cooked down and ready to go. Then the calories, that's 437 calories. Since it's 2 days, the whole total was 874, only 437 for the day. That gets me from 2:30 up until about 5. I cook up some coffee, decaf coffee, 5 cups with a cup of whole milk. And that's 150 calories. Then after I drink about half of it, I add ice. So for the day, it's 409 calories in the breakfast, 437 in the lunch, 150, 996 calories total. Good day. All right, so that's the upper shelf. Now we'll go get the middle shelf, and you'll see, here's the, let me see if I can grab all this at once. Usually I can. Yeah, how about that? So here's the upper shelf. Like I say, I leave the asparagus open so it doesn't get too soggy and wet. Now we'll go down to the middle shelf. These are all the bagged vegetables. You can hear those bags crackling. All right. Took a little more than I could. Oops. Dropping stuff. What was that? Oh, the brand new cauliflower. And then I've got all the clips because I just went shopping yesterday. So, while I cut these, we'll talk about the middle shelf. I had salmon and clam chowder. And this, because it's analog, it's a little bit of a cheat because canned clam chowder has potatoes in it. So that's a little bit of tuberous, refined kind of, it's not refined starch, but it's a very starchy meal. So we'll go over that while I chop these up. You'll see the breakfast, lunch, the coffee I have, and the total calories for that day. And it lasts the bowls I make last 2 days. All right, here we go. Same 12 vegetable omelet, minced garlic because they were out of peeled garlic at Publix last week, but we fixed that this week. You'll see today's show. Then the 2 large eggs, the evaporated milk, stir it up, add enough evaporated milk. Like I say, it's a little over a half a cup. Get that all stirred up. Today, instead of sour cream, wanted cheese on it. That adds the calories from 409 to 449, but still, I like this aged reserve Cracker Barrel cheese, so I start with that stuff. So then I've greased the pan before I put the vegetables on, then I pull the vegetables off to the side, grease the pan again, getting ready for the omelet. So I got all that ready to go. I get the omelet poured out. I've learned to go from right to left. To pour it a little heavier in the middle because the pan's bowed up in the middle. It is a cheaper pan than the Scanpan. There it is, seasoning on the right-hand side that I like to put on. Vegetables in the middle. Fold the right side over. Fold the left side over. Tamp it down so it sticks. Then get the 6 pieces of cheese. Spread those out while it's still in the pan. It starts so the cheese starts to melt right away. Get that going. It's not too hard with this new pan. For $50, I'm pretty happy with it. Get it out of the pan onto the plate. It was sriracha sauce and that bookbinders, and you can see how much bookbinders because of that big stupid cap. That the reason I'm not going to buy it anymore. Also, wanted to take a snap this time of the Snapple. I have a big 32-ounce Snapple's diet, but I just worry about all the sugar-free stuff. So we're going to tone down on that in the next few months. So that's breakfast, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, whatever. That lasts me till about 2:30. Today, salmon and clam chowder. We start with 364 grams. That's going to cook down to 288 when we get the plastic package off and whatnot. Same deal. Get it into the water really quick. So run some room temperature water, toss the plastic packages in, and start chopping vegetables. So this is starting to thaw while I'm chopping and getting the vegetables put in the bowl. And here you can see, let me, wait a second, there it is. It's kind of a fuzzy picture. Sorry about that. But that's about how far I was with the vegetables at that point. So then I'm cutting vegetables. I like to put all the vegetables, all 21 vegetables in every day. You don't have to do it like that. You could just put 2 or 3 vegetables, but it's 900 grams. It's like a pound a day of vegetables just for this lunch. So by now I've got most of the vegetables, not all yet, but I've cut the salmon into small pieces and it's in the water now and it can thaw out. It can get any residual frozen parts in the middle. It's thawing out, doing its thing. Meanwhile, while that's going on, I'm chopping the vegetables again. And here you can see that's getting, the green beans are on top. It's getting to be most all of the vegetables. Still have a little bit more to do, but we'll do that while the salmon is cooking. So here's the salmon out of the water, dried on a paper towel, arranged on that Corelware plate so that the microwaves can get to it. Put it in the microwave with 2 paper towels wrapped around it so it doesn't spatter the inside of the microwave. Here it is after 2.5 minutes and came out perfect, right? It was all well cooked, evenly cooked. So one shot, meanwhile, I finished chopping all the vegetables. So here's the plate. I want to show you the plate, how much fat cooked out of that salmon. Salmon is a fatty fish, right? It's fairly high calories. So that's why I cook it before weighing to determine calories, right? So get it off that plate, pick off the fish, get it in the scale, and there's 288 calories, right? Or I'm sorry, 288 grams. So a lot less than the 364 we started with. So then we break the salmon up. Here's the salmon all broken up and ready to go. It's like before, it's paving the entire top of that vegetable bowl. That's 2 days food there, okay? So then we get the clam chowder out. Today it happens to be Cannibals condensed because I don't like a soupy kind of bowl. I want it pretty dry. Get those calories factored in. I took a picture of the back so it'll make sense when I show you the total calories. It does have the potatoes. I kind of regret that, but I have this like once a month, maybe even less. So I don't feel bad cheating with these high starchy potatoes. Otherwise, no bread, no potatoes, no rice, no pasta. Here's the stuff stirred up, ready to go, right? So we got it stirred the way we're going to stir the bowl down below in today's show. Then I wanted to show the food waste because there's always some leftover chunks of food. I used to just throw it away until it stunk up the kitchen. Now I take it and put it in a bag and freeze it, waiting for the garbage man to come in a couple days. So there's the food waste ready to go in the freezer. Here's the meal all cooked down. 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, piping hot, ready to go, and a full meal, right? 2:30, I'm stuffed. So here's the calories we figured out. So That's 474 calories in each bowl, right? Twice that for 2 days, but 474 calories, that's a great filling pound of vegetables. Then, like always, at 2:30, then I get down to about 4 or 5 o'clock, make my 5 cups of decaf coffee, 32 ounces, add a cup of whole milk, so that's 150 calories. And then, like most days, I get about halfway done with it. I throw in the ice left over from the iced tea, and there you go. So with the cheese, 449 on the omelet, 474 on the lunch, 150 for the coffee, 1,073 calories for the day, and I'm losing weight again. All right, that's the middle shelf, all the bagged vegetables. Some of them, like the cauliflower, won't stay fresh over 8 days, so I divide out the whole bag, 74 grams. Others, carrots and radishes, they'll last 16 days. So that bag I divide out. So sometimes it's for freshness, sometimes it's for how long I can keep the vegetables. So there's the middle shelf going in. Now we're going to get the bottom shelf. And there's that. Green beans and celery. And then the top shelf. And the good news is, even in the December pandemic, it looks like Publix has got the peeled garlic back in stock. So I'm going to put those down here. Okay. And while I cut this up, we'll talk about the meal I had before this, which was shrimp, and a whole bunch of shrimp with Alfredo sauce. And we'll go over that days with the coffee and the breakfast and all of that while I chop this up. I should notice the bottom shelf stuff, the green beans, because I can't keep them fresh, I put 84 grams in here. The celery, I just divide out into quarters, so I use the whole bag. But these other vegetables, they're high calorie. The peas, the garlic, the garbanzo beans, especially the olives. So there I make careful to just weigh 22 grams of those. And that works out for both freshness and for keeping the total calories down. All right? So let's talk about shrimp Alfredo. All right, so here's that same morning omelet, 12 different vegetables, suffering with minced garlic because whole garlic or peeled garlic was out of stock at Publix, but it's back this week, thankfully. So get that, add some reverse osmosis water, butter the pan, toss in the vegetables. You can see I held the butter up to remind myself to tell you folks about, yeah, I do butter the pan. It just tends to make things a little simpler. While that's cooking down, I go grab a couple of eggs, get my measuring cup, 1 cup measuring cup, 2 large eggs, crack it into the measuring cup, and then top off, so it is a little over a half a cup with evaporated milk. Then stir that up, just use a plain fork and stir it up, get it beat up into omelet quality eggs. I did want to show this time, here's that Snapple, 32 ounces of diet Snapple that I was having every morning. I'm going to try to brew my own tea in my Bonavita tea maker. Well, it's a coffee maker, but it seems to work for tea just fine. So I get that out, that's getting ready. Meanwhile, the vegetables are cooking. With the pan being a little high in the middle, I found that I have to kind of pull the vegetables towards the center to keep it wet in the center so it keeps cooking down evenly, doesn't get too crusty in the middle. So that's a minor problem, right? It's still using metal utensils. The pan's held up for a month or two. I get all the vegetables pulled up to the front corner. I wanted to show, yep, I butter it, get it ready for the omelet mix that I've got all ready to go. Get that out, pour the omelet right to left, a little more in the center. I've learned to do it quick, so that works out good. Here it is all seasoned up on the right-hand side of the omelet. The vegetables piled up in the middle. And the left, nothing there, so it's a little stickier. So I fold the right side over, fold the left side over. You can see down below, I forgot to start the scallops for today's meal. So I'm getting the 400 grams of scallops out. So here we are back in the breakfast panel. You can see sour cream, tapatio, hot sauce, that book binders. You can see the black cap is back on it, and it's still leaving a little too much horseradish. So Daisy sour cream, 409 calories. Now for the shrimp meal, this is one of my favorite meals. So I get the shrimp out, I weigh about 400. It's 398 grams of shrimp in this particular day. I shoot for around 400. Get that weighed out and then run some water right away. First part of the meal. What I forgot for the scallops today. Throw it in the bowl. It's starting to thaw already, right? So then I go and cut vegetables, chop vegetables. The water gets a lot colder. There's still some frozen, like pairs of shrimp frozen to each other. So after I cut some of the vegetables, I come back, run some more water, not hot water, just room temperature cold water, but then make sure that all the shrimp are broken up into individuals, so they're going to get completely thawed out. So about this point, you can see here's a picture of the vegetables coming up. So here's the vegetables ready to go. About, I don't know, I'd say about halfway done at this point. And the shrimp is still thawing. The shrimp gets to thaw for the whole vegetable preparation. That's one of the nice things. This meal works out well that way. So after a while, I get all of the vegetables. So here's the top shelf, the high calorie, the 22 grams only of garbanzo beans and peas and olives and garlic to keep the calories under control. That's where I still use the old 22 gram measure. Here it is, draining the shrimp. You squeeze the tail, it pops the shrimp out. Then I squeeze the shrimp itself to get the water out where the vein used to be. Toss the tails into the food waste bag, ready to go there. And get all the shrimp separated out. Then we get that on the scale, because this is really what counts, right? Without the tails. You can see we've gone from 398 to 236 grams. So that's the calculation we're going to use with the calories per gram we figure out on that green piece of paper I do when I make a meal. So I don't like the whole shrimp because I like to have shrimp in every spoonful. I cut the shrimp in half. These are medium size, peeled and deveined. I learned, be sure to get them peeled or it's a pain in the butt. So I cut them all in half, pile that on. It paves the whole top of the bowl. Then I like Bertolli. They were out of everything except organic. So 3/4 of a cup of organic, and that works out. It maths out to keep the calories a little under. Plus, you get easily 2 3/4 cup portions out of that one jar, right? So it's ready for the next time. Here's the back of it. If I remember right, there's actually more calories in the organic stuff. So I had to take this picture to remind myself so I could do on the green sheet, we'll see in a few pictures, the total. So it's not too hard. Get it all stirred up, put the Alfredo on top, 3/4 of a cup, stir it all up twice around, 6 digs each, stir, 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 get all the shrimp and the Alfredo mixed nicely. Then do the trick we're going to do later today down below. We're going to divide it into 2 identical portions. And see that small bowl? That's a lot of food, right? It's like a pound of vegetables in that meal, although it's going to cook down a little. And then the small bowl goes in the refrigerator right away for the next day. Then today there was just a lot of leftover glassware. So here's the recycling preparation, right? I wash everything out, set it on a paper towel, get it ready for recycling. So then meanwhile, into the microwave 4 times, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, stirring 6 times around every time, makes it nice and hot. You can, if you like it hotter, make it, 3 minutes 4 times in a row. But, nominally a total of 8 to 10, 12 minutes to get the meal piping hot. When it comes out, you can see by the calculator here, adjusting for the different kind of Alfredo sauce, it was 432 calories for one day, which is great, right? It seems like a really rich Alfredo kind of thing, but it's still pretty fresh. Meanwhile, down below, you can see we got the scallops heated. So then comes 5 o'clock, I get the coffee going, 5 cups decaf coffee, 1 whole cup of whole milk, 150 calories, 409 calories, 432 calories, 150, 991 calories, another under 1,000 calorie day. Okay, so that's the top and bottom shelves. Note I forgot to put the scallops on right away. I should have done that at the beginning of the show, but nobody's perfect. I should note the green beans I leave open as well. It tends to make them last a little longer. So here's that bottom shelf. To the great annoyance of my friends, I microwave the scallops, and that's going on now. 3 minutes the first shot. You saw me stir them up a little bit. 3 minutes now, 3 more minutes in the second shot. Meanwhile, from the upper shelf, we can get the salsa out. And what do we got? Oh, we got a little bit, about a minute left, second batch. So this is Mateo's brand Publix. I happen to like it. It's a new one. So 1 cup is only going to be 80 calories. And I think there's about 2 cups in this whole jar. So I do 1, oops, that's a little too much. Can we pour it back a little? Yeah, let's be precise today. Why not? And put this right back in. Usually I like to put the meat, the protein, whether that's beef or fish or whatever. But because we're screwed up and the scallops are still cooking, it's not that serious because we're going to heat this up. So usually I put the salsa on after for some reason. It just feels better. Let me get my spoon out. There we go. So now those scallops should be mostly cooked. And the center doesn't do quite as well. This goes in the... Unlike Emerald, I kind of wash my stuff out if I can while I'm using it. So you see me just barely. Get that back. Now let's get those scallops. Ooh, they're wet. I weigh them now. Now's the time. So we're done with this. I don't use cloth towels because I don't think they're hygienic. There's a lot of water in these scallops. So you'll see, I weighed out about 400 grams when they were frozen and kind of frosty and wet. So now we'll just pull them over here onto our scale. It's part of the analog diet, measuring stuff, measuring your own weight, measuring the weight of the food, calculating the calories. Look at that, almost 100 grams gone. It's 309. And that I jot down on this little sheet where I'm going to calculate. I'll show you that at the end of the show. Let's see, what is this? Scallops, 309. So, watch this. This is a lot of protein, right? Ooh, a little fluid there, so it's probably less. It's probably more like 300. Might as well keep this clean. We're going to use this to weigh the gorgonzola cheese, and if it's wet, the cheese sticks to it. You learn all these tricks when you do this every day. Or actually every other day. That's one thing I like about this. So there's our, let's take a picture for posterity, okay? One of the things I've been doing is just taking pictures of this to remind myself, make a big ritual out of it. So go around twice, 6 times each, dig down, bring that up. And then these stabbing motions are kind of what really does the mixing. And we're going to get the salsa and the scallops. This is 2 days food. And the way I like the protein, I even cut up pork. I don't make, you could just weigh out have a big side of vegetables and a single pork chop, but I prefer to cut stuff into little cubes and make these bowls. And every spoonful is different because it's got different vegetables. And pretty much every spoonful is going to have a scallop or 2 in it. I kind of lost count. Can't talk and count at the same time. So we'll just eyeball this. These jabs. I got a feeling I went around twice already, but oh well, nobody's perfect. So, hang on, let me get the last little bit, see if anything fell. All right, so now we want to split this into today and tomorrow's meals. So we get the scale, zero the scale out, gently set this on top of the scale so we don't break anything. I jot down in this little paper I make every day or every 2 days, 3,023 grams. Then I get my handy dandy Texas Instruments calculator and take it down, 3,023. Subtract the weight of the bowl, 13 grams in the bowl. That's equal to that. 1510. So then you divide by 2, that's the whole point of this, 750, that's pretty heavy. Then add the weight of that bowl back in, 15, 13, 2268. So 22, I jot that down, 68. So that's that. Now, I get the little bowl, get the spoon, just be patient, otherwise it tends to miss the bowl. I try to get something in the center here because that tends not to get stirred as well. Oh, that's probably too much, but let's see, 2209. So sure enough, we got to put a little more back in the big bowl that we're going to have today. 2251, 54, this is obviously a little OCD. So 2266, within 2 grams of exactly half. And I hope the Skycam will pick up, equal portions, right? There is a massive amount of food here. So let's get the top, because food safety is a big deal. I'm learning that. Ask the Chipotle people about food safety, or don't. So this goes in the fridge for tomorrow. I won't get the Gorgonzola cheese out yet. We'll do that at the end of the show. Let me check my notes here. We split it. Kind of clean this up a little bit. Okay. So now we're going to heat it up. 4 trips to the microwave, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, stirring in between. So let me reset up those cameras and we'll get on that. All right, so let's get over to the microwave. Kick the camera and I get a towel out. That's how I keep track. And this time we're going to do 3 minutes. And while we do that, while that cooks, we'll talk about our 3-minute topic. That's the difference to a food addict like me, and maybe you. There's this relationship. Food is kind of like a drug. And I read years ago, because I've had biker buddies that got into drugs and really went downhill. This article said, if you don't have a center in your life, a spouse, some relationship, some passion, making videos, something, the drug can take over your life. And that kind of happened to me when I moved to Florida. I just got into my food things, eating garbage, just whole bags of Reese's cups and maybe not in one sitting, but still, pints of ice cream just gone, and eating late at night and all these bad habits. And so you have to realize, to some of us, not everybody, food is like a drug. And I do think that heavy carbohydrate diets do get you kind of addicted. The food companies know this, right? They're trying to peddle that stuff. The salt gets you addicted. You get those dopamine rushes and, oh, I feel great. Let's just keep doing this behavior because even though my stomach tells me I'm done. Imagine if an alcoholic had to drink 3 drinks a day, but just 3 drinks, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The way a food addict, you have to eat. And think of the problem that causes people, right? That's why this diet is kind of scientific. It's not meant to be great cooking. It's meant to be regimented and OCD and the same similar things with variants, a little different every day, but still that regimen so that I stay honest and don't cheat like I did when I gained these 23 pounds. One of the things I've noticed, it is a lifestyle change. When I go shopping now, a friend of mine mentioned this. He says he hardly spends any time in the middle of the shopping center of the grocery store. That's where all the cake mix and sugar and chips and all that garbage is. We both tend to go around the outside of the store. The back wall at Publix where it's the cheese and the eggs and the things. I don't limit cholesterol because not having the insulin spikes from eating all kinds of refined carbs, my cholesterol's fine, even though I'm having eggs, even though I'm putting sour cream on the eggs, even though I'm not making any effort whatsoever to look at cholesterol. My cholesterol went down when I started this diet 3 years ago. So that aspect of a drug, it's different. You know, when's it a food, when's it a drug? Take a little kid through the supermarket and start pointing out all the sugar, that's the first addiction your kids are gonna have to deal with, right? Cigarettes, drugs, recreational drugs, all that comes later. Try to get them off the sugar, all right? So let's go here. We got our little paper towel ready that we keep track of stuff. I'm gonna check the camera. Yep. So slap that down, get the spoon, because I forgot it. And now just 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I see lots of scallops in there. Clean up the edge a little bit. I don't want soup, right? That's why just 1 cup of salt. So fluid comes out of the vegetables. This time, we're gonna do 2 minutes. All right. And the 2-minute topic is a simple one, salt. I don't, avoid salt completely. You have to have salt, right? It's part of your electrolyte balance and all of that. You have to eat salt. But that was part of this addiction, kind of the way food companies want to just put salt. You watch Emerald, bam, up a notch. All that is just adding salt. So many fine cooking chefs I see, all they're doing is finding some reason to add salt or sugar or fats. That's exactly what barbecue sauce is, right? And when you get rid of all that stuff, now stuff that didn't used to taste salty to me is like, oh boy, that's salty. And my blood pressure was actually, back in California, was over 200. They wanted to hospitalize me. They did a free health screening at work. No, you got to call an ambulance. You're not going home in your car. I got them off that. I know I'm a land of liberty. It's like, no, I'll make an appointment the next day, which I did. Then I got on the lisinopril, and it got down, 187, and maybe 150. Still high blood pressure. I was flushed. I had like a reddish hue here. I could just tell. You could see the veins in my arms, except I was so fat, you couldn't see those veins. So the salt I have now, well, that hot sauce I put on the omelets that you saw every day, that's got plenty of salt. That's what a sauce is. The salsa, I'm sure, if you look at the label on that, there's salt in there. So it was important at first, this is the second time I've bounced, second or third time I bounced 20 pounds after losing the 140 pounds. The first time I bounced, I was eating salted nuts, because those are easy to get at Publix. They got whole shelves full of salted nuts. Not only did I gain 20 pounds, but I also, my blood pressure, because I got a home measure thing, it went up like 140, high, right, for a person my age. So the next time, this last time, I learned, no, eat unsalted nuts. Go to CVS. This time I'm trying these Kirkland nuts unsalted, both cashews and mixed nuts. I think they're healthy. I think there's protein. There's no sugar or refined carbs. So keeping the salt out is a part of the analog diet. Okay, let's go back here. Now we'll slap this down. You see there'll be 2 rings. That's how I keep count, because I'd always forget 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This back in. It's already nice and warm. 2 minutes. Okay. So the next 2-minute topic, A1C, which is the diabetic measure. There's glucose. And when I started this diet 3 years ago, right, when I lost all that weight 3 years ago, my glucose improved. I just happened to have I put it off until the doctor appointment was in a couple weeks. My glucose plummeted within a week, just because I wasn't eating junk. The A1C, that took like 6 months. And a friend of mine, I don't know if this is medical, a friend of mine describes it as, from all the sugar in your blood, it kind of affects your blood cells. And he said it damages them. I don't know if that's the right word, but it certainly does something they can measure in this A1C. Mine went from over 9, which is total diabetic, I was metformin, a gram of it, 1,000 milligrams a day, to under 5. I think it was 4.6 or 4.8, which is perfect, right? And this is really pertinent, just a coincidence. Along comes coronavirus. And they say cholesterol is a factor in coronavirus. I know I'm good for that, but also blood sugar and being diabetic. So how fortunate that I got my life in order 3 years ago. And now, I'm finishing it. I don't think my blood work, I haven't gone to the doctor because of the pandemic, but I don't think my blood work would come back very bad. When I'd gained 10, 15 pounds, I'd go to the doctor back before the pandemic. The numbers weren't much different, right? But it's just feeling. Realize subcutaneous fat on your belly goes in last. Before that, it has to fill your torso up and cause all kinds of problems. So getting that A1C under control, it's curing diabetes. I mean, I cured it, right? But also, what a bonus health in that in times of coronavirus, I can hope that I don't get it, but if I do get it, not being morbidly obese gives me a much better chance, even as an older guy. All right, last one here. Okay, out it comes. Put the little pad back in. Now we slap this down. There's 3 rings, which means we're done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right. The last 2-minute topic, and this is going to be the last show for a while because we hit our goal, right? People who say, oh, you shouldn't lose any more. Oh, you've lost too much. Oh, you look scrawny. Well, realize, if they're used to seeing you at 300 pounds, sure, you look a little scrawny. And yeah, because I let myself be 300 pounds for a decade, now that I've lost it, I got a little loose skin here and I got a little loose skin there. I can fix that if I want to go to a plastic surgeon, right? That's not the end of the world. I've got a great friend. She would just get adamant about, oh, don't lose any more. There are 2 stories I want to tell about her. One, she was adamant, no, you've lost enough. And it was just numbers. She can't see well. She couldn't see how I looked. But I just say, well, I want to get to 170. In high school, I was 165. Oh, well, that's too much. That's too much. And it took a long bunch of conversations before I realized she was 153 at like 5 foot 5 inches tall. So she didn't want to hear me being 165, about 10 pounds more, even though I'm 6 feet tall. And that was the emotional thing. She was hanging on so hard to her self-image of I'm not obese, but she might be if you did the BMI. The other thing, let me check my notes here quick. Oh, the belly. That's what I wanted to tell you. I tell her, it's like, well, and I do. I don't know if you can see it, right? I still got a little belly here. That's not just loose skin, right? Maybe up here it's, okay, I got my abs back. And I'd say, well, I still have a belly, which I want, actually. If I get the flu, if I get coronavirus, it's good to have some body fat to draw on because you're not hungry and you don't want to eat and you're sick as a dog. So that's when you burn that 5, 10 pounds. But you say, everybody has a belly. Well, in the retirement community where she lives, yes, all those men of maybe not the greatest generation, but the generation after mine, they all got their belly. But that's not normal, right? You go to Europe, you go to places where people walk a lot, not all the men have giant bellies. So let's go get this last. Oops, I gotta get this thing off. Okay. All right, so we're going to set up the SkyCam, stir this up, and be done. We'll be back in a second. Okay, ready to split this up and take the top into the sink. SkyCam going? Yes, it is. So let's get our spoon, which I left over here. Oh, I forgot to use the towel as a pot holder, right? That works out great. So 6 times, right? 1, you can see there's a little fluid. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is piping hot. Okay, so we get that there. Let's dry out this bowl. Zero it out. This is the Gorgonzola from Publix. They have a low fat. It looks almost identical, right? It's just you got to look for the words low fat. I figured, well, I don't have to watch. I met my goal. This is 100 calories per serving, 4 servings. 400 calories. That's a lot. Our target is like, 333, right? Because we have trying to equal the calories with the fat, the protein, and the carbohydrates. This comes off easily. Try not to get any plastic in our food. And because this is 113 grams, that means half of it is 56. 55. Now, let's not be too crazy, right? So there that is. So gorgonzola cheese. So take that, get this here. Get the nice dry towel to scrape some of that back in. Usually when I'm not talking, giving these little 2-minute lectures, I'm cleaning up and washing stuff so the kitchen stays looking great. I'm going to put this back because we know about food safety. That'll be for tomorrow with that other bowl. So, that's it. 23 pounds, 2 months. The future shows, I'm not going to do a show every week anymore, right? I'm done with the analog diet. There is some interest in the analog diet lifestyle, which means in a month or two after I eat those unsalted nuts, I might even have a piece of cheese, not too late at night, but I'm not going to do the triple cheat. I'm going to keep weighing myself every day, unlike when I gained the pandemic pounds. I'm going to keep weighing out the nuts, which I didn't do. I was eating over 1,000 calories of nuts extra just every day, late at night, 7, 8 o'clock. Big mistake. And then the other cheat, well, even though maybe I had an Alfredo sauce, well, let's put some Parmesan cheese on top of that. So these meals were going up. No triple cheat. We'll come back with, okay. The other thing we're going to experiment, I had such great luck making my own decaf iced tea, right? I'm going to look at, well, some of you is like, well, this is too scientific for me. It's same 21 vegetables. Well, let's look at taking 1 or 2 of those vegetables, chopping them all up, putting them on a big flat plate, and then a whole pork chop next to it, or actually several, right? Next to it, and eating that like a traditional sit-down big plate meal. For me, because this is a scientific endeavor, I want to do it this way. So good luck. I hope if you can learn anything, it works. All I can say is it works for me. It worked getting 140, 150 pounds gone 3 years ago, and you just watched me lose 23 more pounds. So stay tuned. It'll be a month or two, but hopefully the analog diet lifestyle will be as successful as the analog diet. Sportster Paul, catch you next time. Bye now.